What you're about to hear has never been revealed to Western media until now. 5 elite bodyguards from North Korea's most secretive unit, 974, discovered something that shattered their 13-year loyalty. They infiltrated the very compound they were trained to protect, uncovered encrypted files that exposed a massive deception, and escaped with evidence that could shake the regime. 3 didn't make it out alive. For more exclusive testimonies like this, subscribe and become part of our investigative community. Your engagement helps us continue uncovering the truth. Breaking news. North Korea has been turned upside down. In North Korea, even the highest-ranking Workers' Party officials cannot easily approach Kim Jong-un. The guards who protect Kim Jong-un with their lives, especially the 5 elite agents from the core 974th unit, have suddenly disappeared. Particularly shocking is that many of the ace agents are included among them. These are individuals who have given up marriage and family, living as shadows, protecting the leader for 13 years. After discovering a single shocking secret, these loyal elite guards, who had risked their lives to break through the regime, have defected. Why would they, who lived only for Kim Jong-un, risk their lives to escape North Korea? I will now tell you that story. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe and like it. It all began in the spring when I was 17. I was born in a small village in Hamhung, South Hamgyong Province. My father worked in a coal mine and died in an accident when I was 15, leaving me as the head of the family to take care of my mother and my 3-year younger sister. Rations had been cut off for a long time, and the only things available at the market were corn and potatoes. Then a military recruitment team came to the village. They said, "It is an honorable mission to protect the supreme leader." From the closest distance, they said that if selected, special rations would be given to the family. Without hesitation, I raised my hand. The 974th unit. The place I entered was a secret training camp, deep in the mountains on the outskirts of Pyongyang. The training was beyond imagination. We woke up at 3 a.m., did marching in, 20C, shooting, hand-to-hand combat, and explosive handling. Most days, we slept less than 4 hours. You are the leader's shield. A shield does not think. A shield only blocks with its body. We chanted this slogan every day. Family contact was limited to 1 censored letter per year. Marriage was prohibited. We had to become shadows. It was the year 2025, and I was 35 years old. I was recognized as the top shield. Half of my fellow recruits had died or been discharged during training. That day, too, was a routine guard duty. Brother Jongtae made a minor mistake. He strayed from the guard formation for just 3 seconds. But senior instructor Choi, the lieutenant colonel, called him over. "You dog-like bastard! Don't you know your mistake could put the leader in danger? You son of a bitch!" Watching Brother Jongtae, who was nearly 40, kneeling and bowing his head, I couldn't bear it. I approached Lieutenant Colonel Choi and said, "Comrade, Lieutenant Colonel, I discovered a security weakness in today's guard area. There is a gap in the guard near the Escort Command Communication Records Room." It was a lie, but I wanted to save Brother Jongtae. Lieutenant Colonel Choi's gaze turned to me, and Brother Jongtae avoided punishment. That night, Brother Jongtae came to my bed. "Cheolho, thank you. But what do we have left by living like this? We couldn't marry. We forgot our hometowns, and we hardly saw our families for 13 years. The only privilege we had was better rations and a shabby lodging." I wondered if even this privilege was just a shadow. Looking back now, at 22, I thought the world was black and white. At that time, Lieutenant Colonel Choi seemed to be a victim, suffering from the pressure from above. That incident happened 3 weeks later. It was a mission to escort a diplomatic delegation. Upon hearing that Russian embassy officials were visiting Pyongyang, the 974th unit began a thorough pre-inspection a week in advance. We triple-checked everything, including the escort route, vehicle deployment, and communication codes. I was assigned to the close protection team that day, within a 3-meter radius of the leader. Shaking hands with the embassy officials, the 5 of us stood surrounding him from all sides. It was a series of tense moments. Even a blink of the eye was a concern. But something strange happened. About 15 minutes into the meeting, the leader suddenly whispered something to the aide next to him. Then he said, "Excuse me for a moment," and went into an inner room. It was only 2 minutes, but those 2 minutes became an unforgettable moment for me. It is extremely rare for the target to deviate from the guard line. Any unplanned change in the route must be reported immediately. I reached for the radio, but something was odd. I heard the voice of Special Inspector Park, the Lieutenant Colonel. 974 Close Protection Team, no abnormalities. Continue standby. I was puzzled. No abnormalities? Clearly, the leader had made an unplanned move. So why would the Special Inspection Team say no abnormalities? The leader came out again, and the meeting ended safely. But a question lingered in my mind. That night, while organizing my guard equipment, I accidentally discovered something strange. A small LED light was blinking on my guard communication device. It was a signal I had never seen before. I took a closer look at the equipment, and I found a small module attached to the back of the device. It was an encrypted emergency signal transmitter. Why was this attached? It was a part, not found in the standard communication equipment we used. I carefully checked the device's log records, and I secretly copied those records onto a personal storage device. After that day, I kept worrying. I had been taught that North Korea's guard system in 2025 was perfect. But the unfamiliar signal emanating from that communication device was the first crack in my 13-year belief. A few days later, while drinking with Brother Jong-tae, I cautiously asked, "Brother, have you ever felt anything strange during guard duty?" Brother Jong-tae was silent for a moment before saying, "Cheol-ho, we must not think. A shield does not think, you know." But I couldn't stop. It was then that I first realized that advanced technology could become a tool to hide lies. Technology is not at fault. That night I hid the copied USB deep under my blanket. I didn't know yet that this small storage device would later become the key to saving my life. It's been a week since I hid the USB. During that week, I felt like I was going crazy. Even while performing my security duties and undergoing training, that signal kept swirling in my head. What on earth was that encrypted signal? What's even weirder is that the atmosphere in the unit has subtly changed. Colonel Park from the Special Inspection Unit started frequenting our quarters. Citing a recent laxity in unit discipline, he intensified surprise inspections. I couldn't bear it any longer. I had to know the truth. That night, I made a decision. To really infiltrate the Escort Command Communication Records Room, the place I had falsely mentioned, while trying to save Jung-tae during the Chapter 1 incident. 2 in the morning. I took advantage of the gap during the guard shift change. I mobilized all the infiltration techniques I had honed over 13 years. I identified the blind spots of the corridor, surveillance cameras, and mapped out the patrol patterns of the guards in my head. The communication records room was filled with dozens of servers and monitors. I plugged the USB into the computer. I ran the decryption program. 10 minutes later, the decrypted sentence appeared on the screen. Successful impersonation activity today. No abnormalities in main body security. I read that sentence 3-4 times. Impersonation? Main body? I searched for more records. October 15, 2024, impersonator no. 12, inspected the military unit. Main body and special quarters. No abnormalities. January 3, 2025, impersonator no. 7, filmed New Year's address. Main body and hiding place on the outskirts of Pyongyang. 13 years. From when I was 17 to now at 35. Who have I been protecting? What I feared most wasn't death. It was the fact that the leader I had dedicated 13 years to was a fake. At that moment, I thought my heart would stop. I collapsed on the floor of the records room. I had given up marriage, given up family, and dedicated my entire life to protecting a falsehood. When I returned to the quarters, Jung-tae and Min-chul were waiting. And there were 2 more, Sok-jin 29 and Yong-guk 31. They were comrades from the same unit. Cheol-ho, we noticed something strange too, Sok-jin said. There was always something off during security duties. I gathered the 5 of us and quietly said, "Guys, I think we've been protecting a fake all this time." That night, the 5 of us talked until dawn. To rectify the 13 years of betrayal, we decided we had to leave this place. When we realized that what we had been protecting was not the leader's life, but the deception of the regime, it felt like we had lived as soulless robots for 13 years. 3 days have passed since we learned the truth. The 5 of us began cautiously planning our escape. Jung-tae identified the border guard deployment, and Min-chul gathered information on North Korean defector brokers. Sok-jin figured out how to secure a vehicle, and Yong-guk prepared weapons and equipment. I analyzed the internal routes and surveillance network of the 974th Unit. But we were too naive. We didn't know that the Special Inspection Unit was already watching us. That morning, I was summoned by Colonel Park. Comrade Gang Chiolho, follow me for a moment. Special Inspection Unit office. As soon as the door closed, Colonel Park threw a photo on the desk. Do you know what this is? It was my mother. It was the first time in 18 years that I saw my mother. Her pale face, sunken eyes, and handcuffs on her wrists. Well, what, mother? Why? Colonel Park said mockingly. Comrade Gang Chiolho, from the day you joined the 974th Unit, your family has been classified as highest-risk hostages. They have been detained for 13 years in the Special Quarters Annex facility on the outskirts of Pyongyang. It felt like I had been hit on the head with a hammer. What are you talking about? I've sent letters to my mother every year. Do you think those replies were real? We wrote them. To control top-tier security guards like you, taking your family hostage is the surest way. Colonel Park pulled out a second photo. It was my younger sister. My sister, over 20 years old, looked utterly sickly. Then something caught my eye. The old pocket watch my mother was holding in her arms. It was my father's keepsake. Why? Why are you doing this? I've been loyal for 13 years. Colonel Park laughed coldly. Loyalty? Comrade Gang Chiolho, you've already infiltrated the communication records room. We know everything you've found out. And we know your 5 comrades are showing suspicious behavior, too. My spine went cold. 5 people. They knew all of us. You have 2 choices. First, keep quiet and continue your duties. Second, if you keep doing strange things. Colonel Park made a throat-slitting gesture with his finger. I clenched my fists. My nails dug into my palms, drawing blood. When I returned to the quarters, 4 people rushed over. Cheolho, what happened? I said in a trembling voice. Guys, our families. They're hostages. They have been for 13 years. At not even 40 years old, I felt the duty of a son for the first time. That photo was a threat, but to me, it was also a salvation that restored my reason for living. That night, the 5 of us decided to abandon loyalty to the fake leader and choose responsibility to our real families. Thinking back now, I understand my parents' feelings. My greatest guilt was my foolishness in believing that my dedication would protect my family. We planned for a week. We had to find the location of the Special Quarters Annex facility on the outskirts of Pyongyang that Colonel Park mentioned. Min Chul tracked the GPS movement routes of the Special Inspection Unit's vehicles, revealing an underground facility 30 kilometers north of Pyongyang, right next to the special quarters where the real leader stays. This is crazy, Jungtae said. We're infiltrating the place we've been trying to protect for 13 years, Jungkook said. But we know that place better than anyone. On the night of May 15, 2025, the 5 of us moved. The outer security of the special quarters was triple-layered. But we are members of Unit 974. We passed the first checkpoint with our IDs. We got nervous at the second one. You're not on the night roster today, Jungtae calmly said. It's a special order from Comrade Colonel Park. Colonel Park's name worked. We entered the underground passage. After walking down 300 meters, an alarm sounded from behind. We're caught! Seokjin shouted. Gunshots rang out from behind. We turned into the emergency passage we had passed through during training. After running for 10 minutes, we saw an iron door. Special restricted area. Unauthorized entry will result in immediate execution. Min Chul hacked the electronic lock. The door opened in 3 minutes. We rushed in and froze. The room was empty. Just a desk and a chair, and a piece of paper on the wall. To Kang Chiolho, I knew you would come. Your family has already been moved elsewhere. Park, it was a trap. We heard clapping from behind. Colonel Park was standing there with the Special Inspection Team agents. Welcome, Kang Chiolho. I was sure you would fall for this trap. Jungkook took out a gun. Get out of the way. Go ahead and shoot. Then your families will be finished, too. Colonel Park sneered. Jungtae found a document on the desk. Chiolho, look at this. It's a map of the border security passage. There's also a record of defection communication codes. Colonel Park's face hardened. Put that down! At that moment, Seokjin shouted. Brothers, take the documents and go. I'll hold them off. Seokjin! I shouted. Seokjin ran towards the inspection team with a gun. Gunshots rang out. The four of us grabbed the documents and ran to the emergency exit. We heard Seok-jin scream from behind. Yongguk stopped. "I'll stay too. You guys have to survive." "Yongguk, no!" Minchul shouted. Yongguk pushed us. "Go! Hurry!" And he turned around and ran back. More gunshots rang out. The three of us ran with tears in our eyes. Seok-jin and Yongguk. The sacrifice of our two comrades was heavy. But then we knew. We were the only ones who could break through the system. There was no going back now. Now I know how safe South Korea's security is. But at that time, the iron fortress we broke through was the thickest prison in the world. Surviving was a miracle. After losing Seok-jin and Yongguk, and 3 days later, we arrived at the Yalu River. All we had in our hands were the documents that our two comrades had protected with their lives. The border security passage map and the defection communication codes. This was our only hope for survival. The journey from Pyongyang to Sinwiju was hell. The State Security Department was after us. Our photos were posted at every checkpoint. Special reward for the capture of national traitors Kang Cheol-ho, Jung Tai, and Min Chul. We moved only at night, climbing mountains and crossing rivers. We didn't eat anything for 2 days. Jung Tai's feet were blistered and bleeding. When we arrived at a small village near Sinwiju, I had no more strength to go on. Then a Korean-Chinese man approached us. "Trying to cross the Yalu River? I can help you." The man introduced himself as Manager Kim. He was a pleasant-looking man in his mid-40s. "I've lived here in Sinwiju for 30 years. I have many connections on the Chinese side. I'll get you across safely. Just go across first. You can think about it later." We had no choice. That night, under Manager Kim's guidance, we crossed the Yalu River. 30 years of border surveillance was beyond imagination. Unmanned drones flew in the sky, and thermal sensors monitored the riverbank. But Manager Kim knew exactly the gaps in the surveillance net. "Now jump!" We jumped into the cold river. Even though it was May, the water was like ice. We held our breath, swam, and held our breath again. Perhaps 30 minutes passed. We finally set foot on Chinese soil. The place Manager Kim took us to was a shabby warehouse. "Rest here for a day. I'll move you to a safer place tomorrow." We were exhausted and fell asleep on the spot. Perhaps a few hours passed. We woke up to a strange sound. It was the sound of a conversation in Chinese outside the warehouse. I carefully looked outside through a crack in the door. Manager Kim was talking to a man in a Chinese public security uniform, and he was receiving a bundle of money. 3 North Korean bodyguards. I can sell them for a high price. My heart sank. We were being sold. I woke up Jung Tae and Min Chul. "Brothers, we're being sold. We have to escape now." There was a small window at the back of the warehouse. We quietly opened the window and slipped out. It was pitch dark outside. We ran into the forest. We heard Manager Kim's shout from behind. "They've escaped! Catch them!" The moment I crossed the river, I thought I had escaped the system's surveillance. But that place was the entrance to a colder hell, ruled by the logic of money. Manager Kim's kindness at that time was poison. If it weren't for the secret information I had, the 3 of us would have already been sold. Human desire knows no borders. We fled this province in China. After Manager Kim reported us to the Chinese public security, we became fugitives. We hid during the day and moved only at night. We scavenged for food in dumpsters. Min Chul started running a fever. "Brothers, I think this is the end for me." One night, Min Chul said, "What are you talking about? We agreed to go south together." Jung Tai said, "That night, I made a decision. To use the defection communication codes from the documents that Seok-jin and Yongguk had protected. Do you remember the USB I copied in Chapter 2? In fact, that USB contained more than just simple log records. A top-secret emergency defection signal module for Secret Guard Command agents was hidden inside. I found an internet cafe. There was a small PC room run by Koreans in a Chinese border town. I went in with my hat pulled down low. I plugged the USB into the computer. I combined the code and the signal module, and I sent a message to the email address that appeared on the screen. "I am Kang Cheol-ho from North Korea's 974th Unit. Currently, we are being pursued in Liaoning Province, China. There are 3 of us. Please help us." 10 minutes later, a reply appeared on the screen. "Send your location. We will provide contact information within 48 hours. My hands were shaking. Hope was in sight. But at that moment, I heard the sound of sirens outside the PC room. It was the Chinese Public Security Bureau. Mr. Kim had reported us again. I ran out of the PC room. Brother Jongtae and Min Cheol were waiting in the alley. Brothers, let's go! The public security officers were chasing us. Stop! Stop, or we will shoot! We ran into a narrow alley. But public security vehicles appeared from the front as well. We were surrounded. Min Cheol, gasping for breath, said, Brothers, I can't run anymore. I'll hold them off here. Min Cheol, no! I shouted. Min Cheol smiled. Brother, tell Seok-jin and Yongguk that I'm sorry. Tell them I'm coming with you. Min Cheol ran towards the public security officers. Here, try to catch me. The public security officers chased Min Cheol. Jongtae and I ran in the opposite direction. When we had run 100 meters, we heard gunshots from behind. I wanted to sit down, but Jongtae grabbed my arm. Cheol-ho, let's go. We have to survive. The two of us disappeared into the darkness. 3 days later, following the message from a contact in South Korea, we met with a Korean consulate official. They took us to Thailand, and a month later, we arrived at Incheon Airport. We started as 5. Seok-jin, Yongguk, Min Cheol. 3 comrades died. My specialty is bodyguard work. My last protection target was not the leader, but the hope of my comrades and family. Only then did I feel like I had become a true shield. We survived because our 3 comrades sent hope to the South. Now I can say it with a smile. It's been 6 months since I came to South Korea. When we arrived at Incheon Airport, Jongtae and I cried. Seok-jin, Yongguk, Min Cheol. Standing on the sacrifice of 3 comrades was too heavy. I spent 3 months at Hana Center. I received adaptation training and learned about South Korean society. When I first went to a convenience store, I was amazed that the lights were on 24 hours a day. Seeing the overflowing items in the supermarket brought tears to my eyes. But the hardest part was the internet. I couldn't believe I could search for North Korean news. I sat in front of the computer every night looking for North Korean news, hoping there might be news about my mother and younger brother. Then one day, I received a call from the Ministry of Unification. Mr. Kang Cheol-ho, I have good news. My heart raced. Your mother, your younger brother. Yes, we have conducted a rescue operation through China. They will arrive in South Korea in a week. I collapsed on the spot. Jongtae patted my shoulder. Cheol-ho, it's okay. It's finally okay. That week felt like a year. I couldn't sleep at night. What would my mother look like? Would my younger brother be healthy? Finally, that day came. Arrival hall at Incheon Airport. I stood there with a trembling hand holding a nameplate. The door opened. I saw my mother in a wheelchair. It had been 18 years. My mother had aged so much. Her hair was white, and her face was full of wrinkles. Mother! I ran to her. My mother shed tears when she saw me. Cheol-ho, our Cheol-ho? I hugged my mother. The tears I had held back for 18 years burst forth. Mother, I'm sorry. I'm late. My younger brother also came. My 28-year-old brother looked very sick, but he was smiling. Brother, you're alive. The 3 of us cried for a long time there. A few days later, my mother called me, and she took out an old pocket watch she had been holding. Cheol-ho, it's your father's keepsake. For 13 years, I held on just by looking at this. I believed you would come back alive. I took the watch. My father's name was engraved on it, Kang Min-soo, and next to it was my name, Kang Cheol-ho. It was the moment I regained my name as a human and family that I had lost 13 years ago at the age of 17. Now I live in Seoul. I work for a small company and live an ordinary life. Jongtae also lives nearby, and we meet often. We sometimes talk about Seok-jin, Yongguk, and Min Cheol. I am active in a North Korean defector group and raise awareness about the injustices of the North Korean regime. I think others need to know about the deception I experienced for 13 years. Sometimes I have dreams. Dreams of unification and going to my hometown of Hamhung. Dreams of seeing the Seongcheon River again and walking through the neighborhood where I played as a child. I hope our generation sees unification. I started my life anew at the age of 35. The false shell I had maintained for 13 years is gone. But now, I live in the Republic of Korea, protecting my real family and the precious value of freedom. Only now do I feel like I have truly become Kang Cheol-ho. As I grow older, I understand my parents' feelings back then. Everyone, freedom is not free. It is built on someone's sacrifice. Please remember this story. If this video was helpful, please subscribe and like. Thank you.